Bitcoin enters price discovery after Degen-driven Trump pump. Hey guys, it's Keith Allen, and last night I posted the Degens were degening. The Degens, what am I saying? Like I'm numb today. Degens were degening last night. I think I just made up some words, but that's okay. Price pumped, no doubt about it, right? So, I'm going to avoid the elephant in the room here and try and not lean this into a political discussion and talk about what's happening in the charts, because Bitcoin obviously entering price discovery mode, and we got to know where we're going from here. And so in this analysis, we're going to take a look at where, if we have pullbacks, where we could go, and if we have, as we move up, where we might potentially find resistance. So just a little bit of play-by-play. Last night, like I said, the crypto degens were degening, wasting no time capitalizing on the Trump pump narrative. Polls closed at 7 p.m. and literally the moment votes started being reported, Bitcoin price began to climb. And by 10:04 p.m. Eastern time, there was a new all-time high, and by 10:08, that all-time high had been broken, and Bitcoin was trading at 75K. So what was interesting to me at the time, and why I was more cautious than I should have been, is because at the time those votes were coming in, there had been no changes in terms of what the expectations were of which candidate would win which state. So Trump was winning the states that were expected for him to win. We hadn't seen any decisions on really the states that were in play, those battleground states at that time. So I thought we'd see a pullback as those blue states started to come in. But as the night went on, it became clearer and clearer that things were progressing. That Trump's margins were improving, and things obviously played out as they have. So, still some votes to be tallied for the House. Obviously, the final count isn't done yet, and the Harris campaign hasn't conceded yet, which is a little bit interesting to me, but I'm not going there in this discussion. What we are focused on here is the charts. So let's start. Hey, good to have you guys with me, Alexander and Santos and Crackdown. Number one, I thank you guys for always continuing to support me and following along. And Crackdown, I think you nailed it. We're on the final season of The Simpsons too, right? And it's already been created, so that's a shame. I'd like to see more Simpsons in my life. In any case, this is a reminder, by the way, that the live chat is open. So anybody would like to chime in, if you've got questions, if you've got comments, if you've got insight you want to share, I'd love to hear from you. And for the rest of you, if you haven't done so yet, do me a favor, smash all the buttons. I'm going to give you a second to hit that subscribe button up there. That's the little bell up there on YouTube, so that you never miss a stream. And with that, let's get into the charts here. I'm going to start on my my Bitcoin halving chart, because it looks pretty good in terms of what we are seeing in terms of the structure. Obviously, the macro trend well intact, and this to me just really solidifies my assumptions, or adds to my conviction, that we will see a six-figure Bitcoin sometime before, by the end of the cycle, possibly even by the end of the year. What has changed here since yesterday, if you recall, on the weekly chart, we did have a trend precognition we had a short signal that was invalidated somewhere around like the 72K level yesterday. So that one obviously was obliterated. And so moving forward, I'm looking at this candle, and it's not, honestly, number one, it's not done yet, right? This is a weekly candle. So what we need to see happen for me to have confidence in this candle, as I have said all along, is I want that consolidation. I personally remain, despite this pump that we've got here, um, I still maintain that I believe it's stronger and healthier to have a consolidation period above this 2021 top at 69K before we just head off to the races. And so 75K, 100% psychological. Excuse me. Yeah, late night watching numbers come across the board. Purely psychological, as quite frankly, where we go from here, you would expect to see natural psychological resistance on the 5s and 10s, if you will, 75, 80, 85, 90, certainly 100, and so on and so forth. Um, will we get 69 again? Will we get a pullback to 69 again? That's questionable at this point. Something that is interesting, though, even looking here on the weekly chart, as you can see that this 21-week moving average, one I like very, very much, has finally moved upward a bit. We really were trending literally horizontal since early September, and we've had week after week just sideways for that 21-week moving average, and we're finally seeing a tick up on this big candle, which is, it has traveled probably upwards of 10%, close to it. Anyways, let's see. Let's just get some handles on that. Actually, 13% of travel on that candle so far this week. So that's obviously pulling things up. Whether we close up this high or not remains to be seen. I most certainly would want to. I expect a close above the that 2021 top. If we don't get it, that obviously speaks volumes for the strength of the move that we've seen so far the past couple days. Taking it down to the daily again, this illustrates why I think that this 69K is so important, right? Give me another candle above this level and another, right? So this remains to be seen. This candle I would expect will close, but look now where the 21-day moving average is. It's right there on that 2021 top, right? You think that's an accident? You think it's coincidence? I say it's not. Crackdown says, please give 7 weeks of green candles like before. I'm not in control. You might get it though. Yesterday on the blockchain banner stream, for anybody who missed it, you can look it up. Blockchain banter. You can find a link to it on my page for sure, or the material indicators page, or just search blockchain banter. What I found interesting yesterday, we had talked about the fact that somebody had posted a chart about Bitcoin always moving up after presidential elections and not turning back. Well, there's only 3 in history, so I don't know that in itself was a great data point. But obviously it was valid in terms of the metric that it showed. But can we bank on that? Can we bank on price not dipping below yesterday's price? And I don't know that is a safe bet as of this point. We also looked at it on just November's, right? And notoriously, Q4 has been a really a time where Bitcoin, the asset class of crypto, has historically shined, but not every November, right? There have been bear market situations where price did degrade in a November. So again, if you want to check that out, you can look at yesterday's streams. We discussed that. I'm not going to spend time doing that today. What I will do though is switch it over here to my lifetime chart and look at where we could see potential, obviously potential pullbacks, but really potential resistance at the macro level here. So as you can see, I've updated where our all-time high is here. Depending on what exchange you're on, that may vary. That's going to vary a bit, but 75,397. And admittedly, that's not something that I expected at this point. Crackdown saying he's got a short from 75K. How Degen of you. You know, I personally would not be comfortable shorting at these levels because we are still in this um, wildly volatile situation, right? That is being influenced more by speculation uh, than than anything. Obviously, there is some potential uh, things that could influence the fundamentals of this after um, Trump gets inaugurated and begins his next term. Specifically around crypto, it's Gary Gensler is likely going to be out the door quickly. You and some of the names that I've heard proposed for that. Um, Heston Pierce, I think, is likely in the running for that, and she's very very crypto friendly. Um, that's a huge thing, right? Whether the U.S. gets a crypto reserve or they pay down the debt with Bitcoin, all of that remains to be seen and is highly 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 speculative, in my opinion. Nonetheless, it is the crypto friendly uh, choice was made, and that's apparent. Obviously, with Elon Musk's involvement, that also makes us speculate about potential for Doge. Um, but this is again highly speculative, and I like to work off of what is mostly data driven, and my principles haven't changed. Now, what I'm learning through moves like this, like what we're seeing in the charts, and quite frankly in the election, is principles don't seem to matter to the market as much as I thought. So take that for what it's worth. Back to the price action here. So in terms of where we go, up or down, this massive macro cup and handle still in play, as is our lifetime channel here. Let me expand a bit and see if I can get more of this into focus. I got to go to the weekly chart to get that there. So the excuse me, the lifetime channel is still in play here, and we're still have not returned to that lifetime channel. We analyzed this pretty in depth here a week or so ago, but you can see where we approached it, rejected from our last all time high in March, and now the handle is forming, and we seem to be on this up trajectory. Whether we get this correction or not, or pullback, I won't even call it a correction, but whether we get this pullback or not remains to be seen. In my opinion, it would be healthy to see that happen, at least a little consolidation here between 69 and 75K before we really blast out on this leg. And again, who knows? We could get more fake outs. I think leverage drives a lot of this. So if guys like Crackdown are shorting this heavy, chances are that short squeeze is going to come sooner than later. Now, once we get out of this is where price discovery really occurs to me. And again, we talked about potential downsides. For me, dips are for buying. Most certainly, dips are for buying, and we could talk about that in a minute. But so if we get this pullback towards the 69-70K level, I would be looking very very hard at those levels, and make sure that that buying volume returns and trade that accordingly. But once we clear this, once we clear 75 handily, and we start getting daily and weekly closes above that, how fast till we get up here, right? So I think that this trend line on the lifetime channel serves as really our first barrier of potential technical support. It's really the only place technical support lives here down in this range until we get up into this channel, if we can indeed make it back up into this channel. So what I like about this, by the way, is the confluence between where this channel sits potentially depending on where we, at what point in time we make our way up towards this. And the measured move off of this cup and handle, we went 77% down from the rim of the cup down to the base of the cup, to the bottom of the cup. And so we take that same 77% move, since we are working on a log scale, we take that same 77% move, and that gets us up here into a range that looks like it is about 122.5, right? So this is actually where my target is for, potentially this cycle, to be honest with you. It's certainly my target for resistance. I would be taking some profit there most likely, unless I see something changing dynamically in the order book. Crackdown doesn't like that. Your stops are his I got to show that because that's funny. And stops are at break even. So that's responsible. There you go. That's good. And listen, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. So more power to you for doing that. And I'm glad to hear you're using some responsible risk management there. So if we can break back into this channel, and this is a big if, right? That opens the world to a whole nother level of price discovery, right? So let's just say we don't break it into the channel and we just grind along this way. And then at some point in time, whether it's 2025 or 2027, whenever it happens, end of the cycle, then we come back down. That still puts Bitcoin up here. We're cracking. This obviously gets us in six figures. We could double it again and get into 200,000 by this time next year. Okay, if we were to be up against the trend line and still not make it into the trend, that would be obviously show some momentum, but not enough strength to break into the channel. Now, if we break into this channel, this is where price discovery really lives, in my opinion, because we have got so much territory that we could cover without considering resistance, and that would be up around the $500,000 mark to get to the midpoint line. And that midpoint line, as you can see, does have some bearing on how Bitcoin has traded historically, right? From the early days back in 2013 to various RS flips here in 2017 again, again in 2018, again on the 2019 top, again on the 2021 top, right? So this is certainly something that I think is worth paying attention to, and I think could be a reasonable target. Now I've never put out numbers this high in terms of where I thought price could go, but if you're prognosticating and you're wondering how high can this go, what's the upside potential, and you're wondering where guys like Robert Kiyosaki and Novogratz come up with their numbers, it's from this, right? So depending on when that happens, if it happens soon, that could put us in the $500,000 range. If it happens later, it could put us up in the $1 million range, and 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 that continues. That price discovery continues if we live in this channel until we make it towards the top of the channel, which would, of course, be a place where we would expect to see price reject from. Now, trends are meant to be broken, right? But this gets us up into this is now Michael Saylor numbers. And what was his date? What did he say? He was like 25 years out, right? I've not even like ever projected what his deal is, but I'm just for shits and giggles. Let's see where that would put us, right? What did he say? 20, I think he's 20 years out, right? So that puts us at the year 2045, something like that. That's way, I'm hopefully still alive, which I've never been concerned about the analysis beyond my life expectancy. But January 2045, if we're at the bottom, this is just crazy. crazy. I can't even fathom numbers like that, and I don't know that that ever becomes a reality. Just thought it was fun to see what the lines do, see what the lines mean. But if Bitcoin is still thriving, and if Bitcoin is in this channel at that time, um, then obviously, at a minimum, it could be in 20 years, it could be at those levels. But I just don't think it's safe to make that assumption, and that's why. Um, it's easier to build the argument for not ever making it back into this channel um, ever again. So we'll just have to see. The fact that we have this confluence right now, though, between uh, the measured move out of the cup and handle and where that trend line sits right now is very, very interesting to me. So I look forward to the time when we do get up here and we engage with this and see if we do indeed break back in here. And that really would put Bitcoin on a trajectory that is, quite frankly, difficult to fathom. I think we can pretty much leave it there. I'm gonna take a quick look at a couple of things, including fire charts here. But first, I want to see, the ETFs. They've been draining the past, the days leading um, up to the election, and they didn't make the right call. Whales took that money from them, and so they're buying back in today at higher prices. Um, this again shows me that maybe these ETF investors might be more principled conservative investors. I think it's a safe assumption that they are more principled conservative investors than the degens of the cryptoverse. Safe assumption, right? All right, now to fire charts and see what the liquidity tells us. Obviously, hundreds of millions in ask liquidity were eaten handily last night during the election. As the election results were coming in here, we did clear 75K and then rejected, not from, and not from a massive amount of liquidity either, right? Um, this tells you, and what we ate in the week or so prior, when we came through that, there's no amount of liquidity that is insurmountable when the market is ready to do it. When the sentiment is there, it happens. What you want to see is, and what I started seeing last night was bids moving up to help support that move up, right? We had at this point, we had some liquidity coming in here to help raise things up. We had this new wall come in at 70K. We had some secondary um, bids coming in higher, and that obviously helped push price up. So this I look to as, potential landing zones on a pullback. Obviously, 70K is a strong zone here. 65K still in play, certainly not ruled out, but that would require a breakdown of 70K, a breakdown of that 69K 2021 top level, and that's something that is really a wild card on whether or not that's going to happen at this time or any time in the real near future. So our weekly candle playing out could be very, very interesting. We have the Fed meeting here this week, right? I think we have a rate cut coming here this week. I haven't even looked at this on the calendar. Let's see. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow, jobless claims. Not sure anybody cares about this in the wake of what just happened, because they know it's going to change either way. But Fed interest rate decision is tomorrow. This is what the market does care about. And so could we see another 25 basis point cut tomorrow? Likely, I think I would assume that the decision was really made prior to the election, but who knows? I mean, they're meeting now, so who knows if they're going to factor in potential tariffs or anything like that, since they haven't happened yet, right? And since tariffs would have to be approved prior to actually being implemented, it's questionable on whether the Fed is going to react to that. Also questionable whether Jay Powell is going to keep his job for the next 4 years. So, a lot of a lot to unpack in that, and that's not something we're going to do in this stream. But obviously, a rate cut tomorrow would be bullish because it means money is getting cheaper to borrow, and that creates a risk-on environment. One more look at fire charts before I cut it for the day. I just want to zoom out and give you some perspective of where things are stacking up right now. Obviously, resistance stacking up. 80K is the next psychological resistance level. Significant ladder of asks all the way up. Strongest bid support remains at 65K. 70K, really, this is the range that I think is the critical level at this point because of the confluence we have here with the 2021 top and the 21-day moving average. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. And listen, more than half the country is really happy about what happened, and there's a very large number of people who are unhappy about the results of this election. Some of them, I'm sure, traumatized. Some of them going to be going into depression, and that's not helpful for anybody. I would just say this: we are better and stronger and healthier as a nation, united, than we are divided. And that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm sticking to my principles. My values are unchanged. My perception of others might be changed a bit, but united we stand.